Tēnā koutou katoa. In the middle of last year, the judges of the higher courts, that's the High Court, the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court, reached the unanimous view that it was time for the Māori language to be heard in the courts of our country. So they resolved that our openings and our closings each day in court and at each session in court would be done in Māori as well as in English. We discussed this with ministry staff and we agreed that we would do the official launch of this new thing at the beginning of 2014. Some people who I spoke to about these changes reflected quite honestly and understandably that this was evidence of PC gone mad. Māori isn't generally spoken in the courts. The judge generally doesn't speak Māori, the lawyers don't, most of the witnesses don't. Why the hell would you do this? And I thought hard about that. And I think the answer is to be found in some changes that are going on around us that in the courts we may not be noticing. I want to show you a clip of Nika Four singing the national anthem at a rugby test. Just watch this. E hoa atua o ngā iwi mātoura a ta whakarongona me aroha noa ki a hua ko te pai ki a tauto a ta whai mana a kiti a mai a te aroa God of nations at thy feet in the bonds of love we meet. Hear our voices, we entreat. God defend our free land. God Pacific's triple star from the shafts of strife and war. Make her praises heard afar. God defend New Zealand. So that's one of the most beautiful renditions of our national anthem I ever heard, which is why I wanted to show it to you. But it has another purpose. I asked myself when I first saw that, who said that the national anthem should be sung in Māori as well as in English? Because when I was a young guy growing up in the 70s and 80s and even into the early 90s, the national anthem was only ever sung in English. Why the change? Had some politician said it's time to sing the anthem bilingually? Had some bureaucrat said it? Had some academic started a campaign? Well, the answer to that question, those questions, is none of the above. The first bilingual anthem was sung at a rugby league test in Auckland in the mid-90s. And it caught on. First the netball, and then rugby union. By 1999, everybody, in every sport, anywhere in the world in which a New Zealand team was playing, had the game commenced bilingually in English and in Māori, and nobody decreed it. It was an organic movement that we as New Zealanders barely even noticed. And yet, today, we'd be surprised if the anthem wasn't bilingual. And I think that reflected some quite significant changes going on at ground level in our country. Expectations about the way we portray ourselves, how we see ourselves. as a country founded on two cultures and now multicultural. Here's another, I think, great example of the same phenomenon. Take a look first at the swearing in of the Governor-General of Australia, Quentin Bryce, and then compare that with the recent swearing in of Sir Jerry Mateparae at Parliament Buildings in Wellington.
I, Quentin Alice Louise Bryce, do swear that I will well and truly serve Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors according to law, in the office of Governor-General of the Commonwealth of Australia, and I will do right to all manner of people after the laws and usages of the Commonwealth of Australia, without fear or favour, affection or ill will. So help me God.
Proclamation. Whereas Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II has been graciously pleased by commission under her Royal Sign Manual and the Great Seal of Australia, dated 21 August 2008, to appoint me, Quentin Alice Louise Bryce, Companion of the Order of Australia, to be Governor-General of the Commonwealth of Australia, now therefore I proclaim that I have this day made the prescribed oath of allegiance and the prescribed oath of office of the Governor-General of the Commonwealth of Australia before the Honourable the Chief Justice of Australia, and that I have assumed that office accordingly. Signed and to be sealed with the Great Seal of Australia on 5 September 2008, signed Quentin Bryce, Governor-General, countersigned by Her Excellency's Command, Kevin Rudd, Prime Minister.
I want you to know that I take on this role with solemnity, impartiality, energy, and a profound love for the country we share. I undertake to do my very best to observe, sustain, and uphold the principles, convention, and rule of law that are our foundation. And as I travel over our rich and testing country into the vibrant and struggling sectors of our community, to our rural and remote places, forever deep in my heart, I promise to be open, responsive and faithful to the contemporary thinking and working of Australian society. Australians, you have entrusted a great deal to me. I will honour your trust wholeheartedly.
Jerry, can I say thank you for accepting this role on behalf of the government and the people of New Zealand. I'd like to wish you well for your term. Nā reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.
Being here is an extraordinary honour. Almost every day over the past 6 months, I've reflected on this honour And when I woke up this morning, I gave myself one more pinch, just in case. It is our hope that we can encourage people to think about how New Zealanders can make a difference. We look forward to promoting and celebrating the things that positively unite us as New Zealanders, our virtues, our heritage, our way of life, and our future. As I've reflected on my new role, what I am looking forward to most is the opportunity of meeting and getting to know people, being able to support in the sad times, but also to celebrate successes, achievements and the good times. My view reflects the sentiment of the proverb, "E aha te mea nui o te apa." What is the most important thing in the world? The answer is he tangata, he tangata, he tangata. It is people, it is people, it is people.
Sir Jerry Mateparae swearing in was bilingual, bicultural, even multicultural, vibrant, exciting, and said lots of good things about us as a multicultural country with bicultural foundations. And it wasn't contrived. No one looked at that and thought, these people that have organised this are just PC nuts and they've gone mad. No one thought that. Everybody assumed that this was a great way to express our culture in one of the most important ceremonies in our constitution. So not just the anthem and the Governor-General swearing in, think about some other changes that have occurred over the last 30 years. Think about the All Blacks' adoption of the haka, done properly, whether the players are Māori, Samoan, Tongan, Pākehā, whatever extraction, performing that haka as if they were true warriors in the Māori tradition. What this tells me is that New Zealanders expect our formal occasions and our formal institutions now to be bicultural and bilingual. Every government department has a Māori name. The Governor-General is sworn in the Māori language. Parliament has a Māori name. It's just the norm now. And there's no official decree, it's just happening that way. We all expect it because this is what makes us New Zealand. Different from Australia, different from our colonial or imperial forebears in the UK, different from America, distinctly, uniquely us. Now, the courts, the higher courts in particular, have been late adopters. The district courts have opened and closed their courts in Māori for a couple of years now, and the higher courts are the last to do this. But the fact that we are last, both the courts generally and the higher courts in particular, shouldn't deter us from focusing on the changes in our country we are trying to reflect with these subtle changes in the way we operate. So we may be the last to adopt these changes, but that gives us every reason to be the best. Nō reira e te tāhu o te ture, tēnā koutou katoa.